Welcome to the American Academy of Grief Counseling's video on Gestalt therapy and grief counseling. And in this short video, we want to look at how Gestalt can be utilized in grief counseling and helping individuals overcome and better cope with loss and grief itself. So Gestalt therapy was originally developed by Fritz Perls and his wife Laura Perls, and it is a humanistic and client-centered therapy in itself. It focuses more so on the present emotion of the individual to allow them to express how they are feeling right now. And of course, that involves the prerequisite of having a safe setting and understanding of the relationship between counselor and client. In this type of setting with grief counseling in particular, the counselor is going to focus through Gestalt to help the client discuss the feelings they are having at the moment, to discuss how they feel. And if reflecting on a past moment, to discuss how they feel about that moment in the present itself. So it's trying to help individuals process emotion in a healthy and therapeutic way. So the Gestalt therapist or those in grief counseling utilizing Gestalt will use a series of questions that push the client to discuss what she or he is feeling. And there are a variety of techniques that are sometimes utilized to help bring about those emotions itself. Now, the key also with these techniques and within Gestalt is to help the individual experience the emotions in a safe setting and to be able to confront those emotions later in life. So someone who is experiencing maybe anger, how to better control that anger. Because it's okay to express that anger in the session, but how are we going to handle that emotion when it erupts in public itself? So the counselor looks to help the client identify emotion, release it, and then later understand, but also be able to better cope with it later. I feel statements are critical in Gestalt as opposed to they statements. And by they statements, I mean other individuals within the person's life. When a client might say, well, he or she makes me feel, there should be a empathetic correction where it is better to express oneself as saying, I feel this way when these things are said. And again, this is pushing the focus away from other individuals and then emphasizing it instead back upon the person. Because ultimately in Gestalt, the power to overcome negative emotion exists within the person, not they or them or him or she. And this is especially played out through other exercises such as the empty chair or role-playing strategies. This involves the client either having a conversation between oneself, or the counselor taking the role of an individual, or literally having a empty chair in itself where the client is asked to understand uh, or to pretend that the other individual is there and you can have a conversation. What would you, the counselor would say, what would you like to say to this individual? Would you like to tell this individual how this made you feel? And in grief counseling, it could be a deceased individual. What would you have liked to have told this individual who passed away that you weren't given the chance to? So obviously, this is very much so unlocking a lot of emotion, and that's what is the purpose. The purpose is to look at the emotion of the now. So in doing these strategies, the client discovers that it is all within themselves to find the closure. They don't need an apology from an ex or a friend who said something rude. Instead, it can all be fulfilled within oneself. one final, I think, important technique used within Gestalt is exaggeration exercises. So when an individual is speaking in the session, maybe they frown, or maybe they clench their fist, or maybe they kind of move their knee up and down due to anxiety. The counselor in Gestalt should point this out to the client and say, I've noticed that you clench your fist when you say this. Why is that? Throughout the session following that, the client should be asked, next time that you clench your fist, do it a little harder, hold it a little longer, and just begin to ground that emotion through its physical manifestation. And this is good because it targets emotion. It allows the emotion to be more thoroughly expressed, but it also gives the client an ability outside the session to utilize the same exaggerations to prevent potential negative emotional outbursts in public. So those are some important techniques. Now, there are multiple benefits that have been discovered with those who take Gestalt therapy itself. And of course, the biggest is emotions are released. And once emotions are released, healing can begin. One of the biggest things in grief are people who hide their emotions. They don't face their emotions. They keep it bottled up. And this causes more pathological issues down the road. So with this, awareness of emotions and increased mindfulness of them is key to understanding oneself, one's healing process. So understanding those emotions, but also having an understanding of both the positive and the negative emotions. There's no judgment in Gestalt within the session itself. We want all emotions to be expressed. We do not just want the positive ones, we want to see the negative ones as well. And this in turn helps better self-control outside counseling and helps make better decision-making skills in that process. It also helps increase emotional communication skills and various interpersonal skills. So an individual in Gestalt who is pushed in an empathetic way, but who are pushed to have to express their emotion, to describe it with words, helps within the healing process. It also helps clients be able to see other perspectives. Empty chairs as one, where you ask, well, what do you think they would say? And maybe this forces the individual to go deeper and to really self-examine their role in the story, and to also maybe understand why an individual might say this. Also, it grants an independence and an increased self-esteem, but also an independence to heal apart from the other person. The healing is within one's self, and I think that's crucially important for the healing process. So that is a little bit on Gestalt and how it works with grief itself. Below is our grief counseling certification, as well as our behavioral certifications, which range anywhere from stress management to crisis intervention to anger management to life coaching to spiritual and also Christian counseling. Our phone number is 330-652-7776, and our email is info@aihcp.org. Remember to subscribe to our channel and also give this video a like. In the meantime, have a good day. Thank you for listening.